to the online lecture of Computer Integrated Manufacturing in Automobile Industry. I am Milan Trivedi, Assistant Professor at LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. In today's lecture, we are going to continue with the earlier topic, that is robot technology. In the last class, we have discussed about the different laws of robotics and the different generations of the robotics. Now let us move further and understand the basic anatomy or the different elements of the robot. Coming to the robot part, it is already been explained that we are using this robotic mechanism in order to place some object, in order to move the material, in order to handle the workpiece or the particular component or any of the tool. Right? This is a general application of the robot in the case of industry. Coming to the anatomy of the particular robot, we are having the 7 different elements in the case of a robot. The extreme end part, which is like our hand, that is called as a end effector. We are having a variety of different end effectors that we are going to study in detail in our further lecture, right? But the basic hand-like movement, palm-like movement is called as a end effector in the case of a robot. Now, as our hand has been connected with this forearm and the particular arms, that particular element is identified as a manipulator. Right, this orange section is called as a manipulator. Here, if you see in another view, we are having this wrist on which we are mounting the end effector, which will be useful to grab the object. Right, in order to provide the motion to this particular end effector, we are using this arms. This is upper arm, lower arm, forearm. That has been identified as a manipulator. In order to provide the motion to this manipulator as well as to the end effector, we are using the actuator, right, which will provide the motion to the end effector as well as the manipulator. In order to provide the control to the actuator, we are using this controller, right, and we are also using the different kinds of sensor if it is a second generation robot, which will be acting as a guiding element to the manipulator or the end effector. Another thing which we require is a processor through which we can program the particular robot. And lastly, the software on which we can write the program, right? So this is a normal anatomy of the particular robot. If we are having the only first generation robot, then only first four elements will come into picture. That is end effector, manipulator, actuator and the controller. That's it. If we are having a second generation, then these 3 more elements will come into picture. That is sensor, processor and the software. Now coming to the different types of robot joints. See, normally we need to have 2 basic movements in the case of a robot. The first one is a rotary motion, then we will require this kind of rotary joint, and another is a linear motion, right? Whenever the reach is required to be extended. Reach means the area at which the robot is working, right? If we want to move the particular robot at a very far distance, right? So the more motion of the particular end effector and the manipulator is required. So that can be provided with the help of kind of linear joint, right? So basically we are having 2 different types of joints in the case of robot. Coming to the degree of freedom of the robot, we are normally having the 6 degree of freedoms, right? The first one is a rotational traverse, that if from the center pillar axis, if manipulator is rotating this around this 360 degree, that it is called as a rotational traverse. Then we are having a vertical traverse, right? If along this horizontal axis, this particular manipulator is moving up and down, then it is called as a vertical traverse. And third one is a radial traverse, right, by which the reach can be extended, right? This manipulator can be moved inside and outside on this particular body, so this motion is called as a radial traverse, right? This is a wrist portion at which we are attaching the end effector. Of this end effector, again we will be having 3 basic motions, that is roll, pitch and yaw, right? Pitch, that is a vertical up and down movement along the wrist. From the vertical axis, if it is rotating, then it is yaw, and if we are along the horizontal axis, we are rotating the wrist, then it is called as a roll, right? So all these 3 motions are there in a particular robot, then it is called as a 6-axis robot, right? If any of the 2 motions is there, then it is called as a 2-axis. So this is how the particular robots are being identified. Now let us understand the different end effector, right, which is being used to just hold the workpiece, hold the material, right? Basically we are having these 6 different types of end effector. The first one is a mechanical gripper, right? We are having a simple mechanical mechanism which is used to hold the particular object, and it is called as a mechanical gripper, right? This motion can be provided with the help of different kind of actuator. For that we can use either hydraulic or pneumatic actuator also, which can provide this linear motion. But from that linear motion we can have this kind of grabbing motion, right? It is holding the workpiece, it is releasing. That kind of motion can be effectively done with the help of mechanical gripper. The second one is a hook and scoops, which is normally used to hold the workpiece, heavy workpiece, right? As shown in this particular figure, some bulky object is required to be holded with the help of this robotic arm. Then we can use this kind of hook kind of mechanism, right? The third one is a magnetic gripper. Coming to the magnetic gripper part, obviously it can be used to hold the particular metallic objects, right? But for that we are having these two different mechanisms. The first one is electromagnets, in which with the supply of electricity the magnets get magnetized, and when you release that electricity it gets demagnetized. So during that span, if you are providing the electricity, it will magnetize and lift the object, and as you demagnetize that, it will release the object. The second case is a permanent magnet, in which as soon as you are taking the magnet near to the particular metallic workpiece, it will hold the object, right? But the complicated part in the case of permanent magnet is to release the object. In order to release the object, what we need to do is we need to provide this push-off pins, right? And this push-off pins is normally been operated with the help of pneumatic cylinders, this air cylinders. So high pressurized air is passed to this particular push-up pins. So the push-up pin will take the particular object backward, and as it come out from the periphery of the or the magnetic field of the magnet, it will release the object, right? So this is how the particular magnetic gripper works. The next is a vacuum gripper. This we may have used number of times also, right? A vacuum will be get created, and as you press this particular against the workpiece, with the help of vacuum effect the object will be lifted, right? So end effector can be of this type also. The next one is a expandable bladder type. This is normally been used in order to hold this kind of fragile material or a very thin material such as plastic bottles, right? If we use the mechanical gripper, what will happen is plastic bottle will get crushed because of the mechanical force, right? So in order to avoid that thing, we can use this kind of expandable bladder, right? Initially, this center part will be a bladder. When you give this pneumatic supply to that, it will get expanded. That's why this expandable bladder word is being used, and it will hold the particular workpiece or the bottle. The last one is a adhesive gripper, right? In some of the case we can use this kind of adhesive material, right, which will just stick the workpiece material and you can carry at somewhere, right? So this is the different normal types of mechanical grippers or the particular end effectors which we are used in the case of robot technology. So after understanding the different types of gripper, we came to a thought that which kind of gripper we need to use. Actually this totally depends on the type of application, at what particular place you need to use the particular robot, right? As we had taken the example also, if we are working in a very plastic industry, we need to go for the expandable bladder type of material. Even in the case of glass or ceramic industry, we need to go for that, right? If large metallic component is required to be lifted, we can go for the electromagnets, right? But if a thin sheet of metal is required, we can use the permanent magnets. So based on the particular workpiece which we need to lift, based on that we need to choose the particular end effector, right? Out of this normal 6 types of grippers, we are using one of that, right? Again, this end effectors are also been identified as a gripper also, right? But we are using this word gripper whenever we are using the workpiece, and we will use the tool whenever we are using end effector for holding the tool, right? So that's the only difference. That's all for the today's lecture. Finally, thanks for watching.